Yeah. How do you maintain momentum? Play well. And we had obviously I was super thrilled with our week last week, and not just the wins. Of course, you always want to win, but I just thought we had a great week from Monday, through Saturday evening. So I think we can build on that. What really stood out is just our mentality. I thought our body language, our connectivity. I think it showed the way we. I usually always start with defense, but like I just thought the way we played on the offensive end, had 20 assists both nights. Well, I think we had 20 one night and 20 the other night. And then with that, we didn't turn the ball over. Right, we had nine turnovers one night. I think against Stanford and 11 against Cal. And then you look back to 4 games ago when we won at UCLA, we only had 9 turnovers that night. So I just thought there was a different level of execution on the offensive end, trusting each other. I thought we hit on all the tentacles. And then certainly the first half of Stanford and the whole game against Cal, I thought we defended at a high level in all respects, whether it was defending the post, defending screen and roll, guarding shooters and taking away threes, because that's what those two teams do at a high level, is make threes. And I just with that, I just thought specifically Cal, we made a lot of multiple effort plays that we haven't made consistently on that end of the floor. And I thought it starts with your mindset, but secondly with your voice. And there were some things last weekend with our guys communicating that I haven't seen for quite some time. And it was specifically with our guards. You could hear Gabe communicating, and Davon communicating, and Cole communicating, Hunter communicating, and that's been a bit of an issue for us. It's hard to be really good defensively if you don't communicate. It just is. And so certainly saw some growth in that area, and now we got to be able to demonstrate the ability to have some consistency and carry that through this week in practice, and then of course on the road against Oregon State and Oregon.
Just looking ahead to those games, what do you remember from when you played them here? Kind of the personnel. What kind of stands out about those two teams?
Yeah, so first of all, Oregon State, and I haven't watched our game with Oregon yet from last time, but the Oregon State game, we did a lot of things well that night. They're playing different. They're a lot different team at that point. Just going back and watching, I watched I think 4 games of like their last four now, and then go back to last time. They're playing a lot of different guys. They've shortened their rotation, and they're playing some different guys. So they're just a very different team. Of course, it starts with Jordan Pope. The guy's playing at a really, really high level. I think in league play he's right around 20 a game. He's a guy that can get it going from anywhere. When he crosses half court, he's in range. And I say this a little loosely, but like his game has some. I'm not saying he's Steph Curry, but he has a lot of those tendencies. He does things supernatural. He's got excellent feel for the game, and he's just unlimited range. And so he can fire that thing from 25 feet, and if he misses it, you're kind of surprised. He's got an excellent pull-up game, and he's just really crafty around the rim, but he's got good feel. He's not a selfish guy. He plays super unselfish. Tyler Bilodeau is playing really well. I think the last 5 games, he's averaging over 17 a game. And he's a guy that can shoot the three, unbelievable in the mid-range, and then he's got a back-to-the-basket game. So like he can score it at every which way. And then another guy with really, really good feel. And then Ratau, I think is that how you say his name? Ratau, number 12. Ratai is playing like he is shooting it way better than he did last time. So we did a good job. I mean, we made it hard on Pope last time, and just were able to neutralize a lot of different guys. We had an excellent defensive effort, but certainly these guys are. I know this is coaches speak a little bit, but like I think Cal went on a 16-2 or 14-2 run to end that game to win by like 8. But Oregon State was ahead that whole game. Oregon State beat Stanford, and at Oregon, that thing was right down to the wire. So they're playing their best basketball of the year, and we're going to have to really be on point because we haven't been as good as we want to be, on the road. And then Oregon is immensely talented, and they have a lot of different guys that can get it going. Kuznard is really, really good, and Fale Dante is really, really good, and he's playing, in my limited time here, like he's playing the best that I've ever seen him play. He's become a real force in the post. He's always been a force, but he's become a real scoring force in the block. And then they play a lot of freshmen that just seem to are playing a lot better than they were when we played them, whenever it was 6 weeks ago.
It seems like with Davon, he's had a lot of different phases of his
Yeah.
tenure right now. I mean, obviously he was a little timid, trying to
Yeah.
acclimate. Then when Raleigh went out, it seemed like he was kind of trying to take a little bit on himself. Do you feel like he's finally at a state where like he's playing a little bit more with the team, and do you feel like he's kind of tapped into where he can be?
Well, Davon had his best weekend as a Ute. There's no doubt about it. I'd say his best 2 games. We on Friday in between games, that was one of the things we talked about as a team. I thought Davon had his best game as a running Ute against Stanford, and I thought he was even better, quite frankly, against Cal. 6 for 8 from the field, 18 points, 10 assists. Just thought all weekend he just had a great look to him. He looked super in control, very poised, and just ran the offense. You know what I mean? But like ran it with an attack and being a player, right? Made so many good decisions. And then I thought he defended at a very high level. Stanford, I thought he did a great job on Carlisle, who's had an excellent year. And then on Jalen Cohn, who's really a big-time X factor for Cal. So I just thought he played complete games on both sides of the ball. And, I forget what game. I mean, I think he came back 2 games before Christmas, if I believe. So Utah Valley maybe. And, of course, it's going to take a little time when you just kind of getting thrown in there. And he hadn't played since last January. And then him and Raleigh played so well together. And then when Raleigh left, now it's a whole different, I don't want to say burden, but responsibility that you shoulder. And so, since that time, it's been 13 games. And so, at Georgia Tech, and I don't even know, I didn't really watch film of him at Mississippi State, but I know at Georgia Tech, he played some point, but he primarily played off the ball. So not that he's never played point. Obviously, he's played point in his life, but like you're transitioning to a different role with a different scheme and different teammates, and sometimes there's that takes time, right? And you can be kind of a marked man, so to speak, right, on the top of a scouting report. And I don't know if he's always been that. So there's a lot that goes into it, but I just thought he looked really comfortable, really proud of how he got us into our offense. Of course, he did some of the same stuff he always does, which is a positive, right? A great thing. But I just thought he really got us into our sets when we were running sets and just let the game come to him organically. And he played outstanding.
Is there any update on Raleigh at this point?
There's not, but obviously he's, he didn't play this weekend. He did go to the doctor, and we're going to talk some things out here and just see where things are at, because now it's to the point where it's like, let's say he gets cleared, in 2 days, like, does he have enough time to get to where he needs to go? So that's where that's at. Him and I just have to have a conversation with Trevor, and this is where things are at. How are we going to approach this thing and go from there?
I know you don't generally, as the big picture thing, focus on like the NCAA tournament or the Pac-12 tournament in general, right?
Yeah.
But when you are in this scenario where you are kind of on the bubble, I think that's what most people are saying, is you're on the bubble team or whatever that may be. Does any of that factor in, or how do you kind of pair that down with your players, or how does that work when going into this class?
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, we got to win. It's the bottom line, and I just in our mind we just got to finish these last 2 games off strong and well. Hopefully, win these games. Have some real momentum going into this conference tournament. Let's find a way to win the conference tournament, no matter what our seed is, and no matter what the NCAA tournament thing is. Like, I just don't think it matters. And I know you prefaced that a little bit, but we don't. It's just boom. And with this conference tournament, obviously we're really locked into Oregon State and then Oregon. But I think more than anything, we're locked into ourselves, and every team is so different, and this is a very different team than I can ever recall, specifically as a head coach. It's just a very different team than I've had. So we're kind of, but we are just really locked into us. Like, and that's what we really tried to do last week, is just we have to get better on both sides of the ball. We have to get tougher. We have to have a better mindset. We got to control us. And it always starts with, when things are struggling, I think in the Pac-12, I think in almost every league I've been a part of, in every team I've been a part of, when things aren't going as well as you want them to be, I think the first thing you got to do is look at yourself. And I know I said this a few times, but it's very few people can do that. It sounds so easy, but just very few people have the maturity or the mindset or the self-awareness to just, you got to be able to look in the mirror and say, oh boy, I'm not doing what I need to do, like whether it's on the floor. And why is that happening? Well, what's my mindset at? Where's my attitude at, right? How's our leadership, internally? What are we doing as coaches? All that stuff. And I don't want to say we went back to the basics. We did to some extent, but we just really locked into getting back to who we were and what we were when we were playing at the high, at our best. And I thought we showed a lot of that this last weekend, and now it needs to carry over. We didn't do a whole lot yesterday in practice. We did some things, but these next 2 days we're going to really ramp it up here and in our preps to make us the very best we can and to prepare for Oregon State.
Does it feel different than last year? I know last year you were kind of on a long game losing skid and things you had injuries with Gabe and everything, so it was like a different mindset. But does it feel different when you have even just those few wins at times to be able to kind of give you that momentum?
Oh yeah, it feels different. I think if you're going to compare, like last year, when Gabe went down at Oregon, he didn't do anything. I think he played in the Colorado game, which is our last game, but he clearly wasn't himself. And then he played in the conference tournament. He just willed himself to play. He probably shouldn't have been playing. And then Raleigh went down with 4 games to go. Well, and then Marco played the whole time, but he was basically playing on 1.5 legs. Like he was. So all of a sudden, like in that conference tournament game, yeah, all 3 of those guys played, but the things that they were doing to play, it was just, they weren't even close to themselves. So that was hard. And they weren't in any kind of rhythm. Right, specifically Gabe and Raleigh. They had no rhythm. I think Raleigh practiced one time and went out and played against Colorado and, didn't really do it. So it feels way different because, those guys, and without them, we couldn't do it. We weren't, like we showed without them, we weren't very competitive. So it's a way, way, way different feel. Way different feel. But I feel like with this team, maybe I'm being optimistic. We got to show some consistency, and hopefully we took a monumental step forward last week, and that'll carry over. And I think some roles got really more clarified, and just we found a rhythm. We finally found a rhythm to what we're doing on both sides of the ball.